Welcome to Perceived Reality. I'm Nadia Atwal. Some people are just on a mission to be successful. Others want to do that, and they also want to give back. Some people are very diverse. Others can be everything. Focused and diverse. And we have somebody here who is exactly that. Focused and diverse, multi-leveled. Welcome to the show, Erika Sinner.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you here. We spoke a little bit before. I was very intrigued by your background. In fact, I was asking myself as I asked you, is there something that you don't do? And maybe we start with your entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely.
How did you become an entrepreneur? What was moving you? What was motivating you?
Yeah.
How did it all happen?
I have been in the biotech pharmaceutical space for 20 years. I started off working at a pharmaceutical company on the marketing team and really feeling passionate about this is how I can give back to the world with working on important medications for patients who need them most. I think throughout that journey I realized the market is pharma is mergers, acquisitions, divestitures, and so you can work so hard on a brand, and at any moment you might not be sure if you're going to have a role yourself. And so that's really what created my company, Directorie. We help pharmaceutical companies commercialize their brands. So they come to us and say, we're ready to launch, can you help us do that? And so we're a contracted commercial team. Yeah, and it's been really nice because I think a lot don't recognize there's over 1,500 new drug applications that go to the FDA every single year, but only a very limited amount of those are actually approved. And so my company, Directorie, by being able to be the commercial team, it helps our clients mitigate their risk as they build out their commercial teams, but also when they don't get approved, you can go into cash preservation mode because we work on flexible statements of work, and then we're ready to be there to keep momentum going from a commercial launch perspective, to help clinician relationships, patient advocacy group organizations with them, alongside them. So I think ultimately for me, it's when a company is ready to launch that they actually can is our entire goal, and that feels really good.
What are the personal challenges that you had on this journey, especially when you're building a company like that,
Yeah.
that fulfills so many service situations?
Yeah.
I would think that there was more than one time when you thought, oh, how am I going to do this one? How are we going to scale this? Or
Yes.
how are we going to just keep it always in top standing?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, and any entrepreneur who's listening, I think you first always have to have this irrational belief that you can do anything and you can make it happen. It's the fuel that keeps you going, but throughout the journey I have learned so much. You have to have a team, and you have to trust your team, and you have to be really intentional about the culture that you're building for them to want to go above and beyond for you, for the company, for your clients, for there to be success.
And it's also a big topic for you to create a great work environment.
Yes.
That is very essential to you. When did that come to you? When did you suddenly think, you know what, this actually is something that I want to dedicate myself to?
Yeah, when I started Directorie, it was important to me actually I think it even stems back from my childhood. I grew up in a home marked by instability. Safety is something that's super important to me. And as I started my career in biotech and there were all the mergers, acquisitions, and there was potential layoffs, for me, when I started my company, I knew I wanted to be able to say to my employees, if you do a good job, you will have a job. And that me as a CEO, I'm responsible for making sure that that happens. And so security and creating environments where people feel seen and valued and heard is super important to me. And so I think that intentionality, starting the company, is what then led to compassionate policies like pet bereavement leave, where we support our employees through some of life's toughest journeys and recognize full family structures. And that actually led to my book, Pets or Family, where I'm hoping to inspire other CEOs and corporations to infuse more compassion into their corporate culture. And you can do that through policies like pet bereavement. Because I really just do feel like when companies put their employees first, success will naturally follow.
Yeah, nothing worse than a toxic climate at a company, and then the boss is surprised when the performance is not there. You know? If you don't like to go to work, you're not really reaching your full potential. If you feel happy at your workplace, you are basically without limit.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like as a CEO, I really think about how do my employees feel on Sunday night before they're beginning their work week? And I think about it in three phases. One, how do I communicate with them? How do I put policies in place that are relevant to them? But also from a manager to an employee, how do we formalize our team meetings, our one-on-ones? We call it moments that matter, recognizing those are truly moments that matter in your business. And then also our employee to employee, we don't tolerate gossip, we get ahead of things, we don't let things fester. We have a culture where we lean into curiosity instead of judgment, and I really believe that intentional focus to culture is why our employees go above and beyond, how we earned our spot on the Inc. 5000 list. Yeah, I'm really proud of the culture we're building.
I call that a high IQ and a high EQ person, both, which is
yes.
rare. Usually people are one or the other, and I love that you are so passionate about these things. Tell us also about your charity.
Oh my gosh.
Because that is a real cute one.
I'm so
that
proud.
is doing amazing things. The title is cute. What's the
yes,
name?
TinySuperheroes. So when I wrote my book, Pets Are Family, and I decided to go externally from my company to really think about workplace culture, when I found TinySuperheroes and they came to me last year and said, we're in the red, we're going to have to close it down, I was like, absolutely not. I felt like the work that I was doing in workplace culture, I could apply to hospitals, and we could transform hospital culture with superhero culture. And so what TinySuperheroes does is it helps kids with disabilities or with critical conditions feel like the superheroes that they are. And so it really actually starts with a cape they actually get to wear, and then they earn little patches for every mission that they go on. And the missions are things like surgeries, chemotherapy treatments, MRI scans. As they're a part of our program, we also do monthly missions for them where they get to participate because these children are in the hospital. They're not in school, they're not at playgrounds, they don't get to play on teams. And so by doing their monthly missions, they feel like they're a part of a superhero squad. And they get to be a part of something bigger. And so we're on a mission to impact 5 million kids in the next 5 years.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And we know how much mindset matters when it comes to healing. It's so much. It's worth everything. You need to be able to stay strong, mentally strong, positive, and you cannot learn that early enough.
That's right. One of our board members is a Stanford psychologist, and he helped me really understand that play equals safety for kids, and kids look to the adults in the room to know, am I safe? Is everything going to be okay? And so when the doctors, the nurses, when the parents are saying, we're going to go on a mission, you're going to go into an MRI machine, that's a very different discussion than you're going to be put in a tube, it's really loud, but it's okay. So the child now feels like they're getting to play, so their dopamine is going up, their serotonin is going up, and what's decreasing is their cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So it's allowing their bodies to actually be receptive to the treatment and mindset. As an entrepreneur, I think we know mindset matters, but for kids, I think to feel like they are superheroes, to know there's nothing wrong with them, and in fact, their disability or their condition is actually their superpower, can change how they feel about themselves for the rest of their life.
Absolutely incredible. Well, it was such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Seeing a woman on fire that is doing so many great things and with kindness. Thank you so much, Erica. It was such a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
It was another episode of Perceived Reality. Join us next time.